Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here again with SBR contributor Jordan Sharp, and today we're going to be talking about how those odds have been acting up for the game between the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. How you doing today, Jordan?
Doing good, Dax. Thanks, man.
All right, no problem. All right, so the Broncos must have a lot on their minds right now. They lost last week to the Rams in a very humiliating fashion, and teams have started to find their weaknesses. Now, as for the Fins, I know I'm one of those that are really surprised at the awesome season that they're having this year. Now, as for the bookmakers, they opened this one up as 7.5-point favorites, favoring the Broncos. And since then, it only dropped that hook and can now be found at -7 pretty much across the board, with the exception of 5 times, of course, that they love to be out of the public and make people look at them. But anyways, looking at the trends, Miami has gone 6-4 straight up and against the spread, while the Broncos are just 7-3 straight up and 5-5 against the spread. Now, not very impressive numbers if you ask me in this case. But if we dig a little deeper in those trends, we can actually see it where it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, Miami's 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games against teams from the AFC, 29-12 against the spread in their last 41 road games against teams with a winning home record, and 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games overall. Okay, now the Broncos are 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 games following a straight-up loss, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games following an against the spread loss, and 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games overall. And probably the trend that actually worries me the most is that when the Broncos are being favored by 7 to 13.5 points on the spread, they've gone 4-3 against the spread in this case. So this is definitely another tough game, but I'm honestly right now considering taking the points just if the game were not being played in Mile High, because I know that that's a tough game, a tough place to play. But anyways, where do you actually see this line closing out, Jordan?
Yeah, 7.5 I think looks to be where it's gonna close to me. I can't see the Broncos being 6.5 or 7-point favorites by the time Sunday rolls around, especially even where they're at now, which is basically they're even money at -7, which to me is looks like a nice juicy value. But you know, I think the books will end up foregoing that to raise the line up to 7.5. And put it at normal, you know, -110, -115 juice on that in that case. But in that case, with that, I think that would probably improve your play. So, but in the end, you know, I just can't bring myself to take points with Miami just because that what you mentioned very late is that, you know, Mile High is a new animal when you're playing in that altitude, and the Miami Dolphins play in sunny South Florida. Yep. So that's a big contrast, and especially this late in the year. I'm not looking at Miami's schedule right now, but obviously they play a lot of games in mild climates, and it shouldn't be a mild climate at all, regardless of whether it's snowing or not this weekend in Denver. So, and especially with the news that Emmanuel Sanders looks like he's back, yep. He's going to be back to play this week. Julius Thomas looks like he at least got a little bit of practice in today, so he might be able to go. Looks like he's going up to be a true to game time decision. So if Denver has avoided serious injuries here on their offense, and they can get those guys back this week, I can't go with the Miami Dolphins here, Dax, with you. I think that the Broncos here probably have the better value. You know, last week, and we mentioned when we kind of talked about the Rams, we kind of talked this out a little bit. It seems like last week was a little bit of an anomaly, and if the Broncos can get their first quarter scoring back up to levels that are adequate with the Super Bowl caliber team, I think you're going to see them get back on track. You know, all teams, regardless of who they are, run into blips every once in a while. And I'm not discounting at all what St. Louis did last week because they're still a good football team. But it just seems like the Broncos this week seems like a game where they could just come out and just dominate by 20 points. The Dolphins are good. They're not that good, though, especially against a team like the Broncos coming off of a week like they did last week. So I think that I can't go along with you here to taking the points, Dax.
I'm honestly the only way I would actually have considered taking those points is if it weren't that Mile High. That's the only big factor that I see that might hinder the Dolphins' chances in this case. But, with everything else, the way that they've been playing, what they've been doing so far, how they've actually gotten here, to this point to be 6-4, a 6-4 team after what we saw last year, and years before. This team was really off the map. Nobody really took them into consideration. And right now they're pretty much, right at the heels of the Patriots. I'm thinking if this game were in another venue where neither team would have the advantage of that field, I think that the Dolphins would have a chance in this case. But you're right. I mean, in this point right now, just because of the fact that they're in Mile High, and obviously Peyton wants to, pick up the pieces after that, catastrophe that he had last week. I'm definitely with you in this case. I mean, I'm not going to bet it, and I'm not going to actually recommend people to take the Broncos right now. But I do think that Miami is going to give them a tough time, man.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means, but I think it does have a potential to be that. I could kind of see maybe a final score of maybe 28 to, maybe like 18, 19, 20, something like that. I think that 10 points is legitimate for the Broncos to win this game. I think they can win by 10. It's just as long as they have everybody back, Julius Thomas included, because I think he's a big part of this team and this offense. And I think a lot of people discount him just with how good, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas have been this season, but he's just important, if not more important to those guys because of the matchup problems he creates. Yeah. So, against a team like the Dolphins defense that you need all hands on deck, especially with how decimated the Denver running game has been recently. I think that as long as Julius Thomas plays, I am on the Broncos here.
Yeah, no, and you hit it on the nail on the head right there. I mean, they're going to be counting with C.J. Anderson, I believe, their third-string running back. So I'm thinking that that's something that we also have to consider, that they might be playing a little bit weak on the running game, but they're still got those three awesome weapons, like you said, on the receiving side of the game. But yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely a tough game, and I really don't like to put money against the Broncos. But, I'd just rather stay off of this one. What's that total looking like?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I was just going to say, how about a teaser where you tease the Broncos down to -1 or a pick 'em, and you take the over at around, or it looks like the total's sitting at around 47.5 to 48, so teasing it down to 42-41, going with the over. What do you think about that?
I like the pick 'em on the Broncos, but maybe the under, like putting it up a little bit more, like to maybe 50 something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the total, you could go either way on this one, but yeah, I think that if you tease the main thing would be teasing the Broncos down to -1 or a pick 'em. Obviously, I think that would be the key, and I think honestly, if you do 7 points. Really either side of that total might be valuable. It might be one of those games where it doesn't matter, because this is going to be a pretty solid game. And Miami's going to be able to score regardless of whether they're on the road or not, because Denver's secondary just still really isn't up to par right now. So I think that maybe just laying off the spread and total as they are straight up and going with a teaser or something like that might be a pretty good way to go here.
All right, I agree totally with that one, man. All right, Jordan, as always, it's a pleasure talking football with you, and I look forward to doing this again next week.
All right, thanks, Dax.
No problem. For SBR Picks, this is Dax Floyd.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.